Welcome back. Health Minister Zweli Mkhize says he's not involved with Digital Vibes at any level. The company was awarded a multi-million rand tender by his department. Mkhize says while he previously worked with Tahira Mather and Nadira Mita, who were employed at Digital Vibes, they are not his friends.
I worked with many of these comrades at the time in the fulfillment of my role as TG. I must also clarify that when we contested ANC leadership positions for our national conference in 2017, I did not appoint a personal spokesperson. Many comrades offered their support in their individual capacity. But there was no one, including Ms. Mathe, who was assigned as my personal spokesperson as it had been reported. I also do not regard any of these individuals whose names have been mentioned publicly as personal friends. But they are certainly my comrades. I have worked with them in the ordinary course of my political or official duties, and this is not unusual. As minister, my obligation is to declare any conflict of interest when it arises, and in this instance, I had not identified any conflict of interest. I did not participate in the company's appointment process. I did not in any way influence the selection of employees or consultants of the company. Even at a departmental level, the minister is only informed once the whole procurement and administrative process has been concluded.
Well, the health department is promising to tackle corruption. Mkhize says legal action is now underway to retrieve the money awarded to Digital Vibes. The SIU found that the appointment of the communications company was irregular.
I can also confirm that the process of consequence management, that is, taking disciplinary action against all implicated individuals, is also underway. Finally, I can also confirm that the legal processes to recover the funds that we believe the department should not have paid has also commenced. As I've already stated above, the details of this process will be disclosed at a later date in order to protect the integrity of these critical actions.
The company is said to have benefited 150 million rand from the contract. Among the SIU findings were the conflict of interest and contravention of the tender bidding process.
We have been legally advised that we cannot fully disclose the details of the report at this stage and a plan of action that is already underway. This is because, given the seriousness of the findings and intensity of the steps being undertaken, detailed public disclosure may jeopardize remedial action that is being undertaken. In summary, the investigation has found that the tender bidding process followed was in contravention of the Public Finance Management Act. The process of appointing Digital Vibes was irregular. The irregularity findings range from inconsistencies in the bid committees to lack of disclosure of conflict of interest. Secondly, the investigators have found that an amount of some 37 million paid to Digital Vibes constitute fruitless and wasteful expenditure. Thirdly, in respect of COVID-19 related communications work that was performed by Digital Vibes, the investigators noted that the service provider received requests for work from Department of Health prior to the contract being expanded to include COVID-19 communication. These requests resulted in a financial commitment of some 35 million that the Department of Health ended up paying after the expansion was approved. Investigators therefore concluded that any amount which was paid to Digital Vibes for any work done in relation to COVID-19 communication prior to the approval of the expansion to include COVID-19 work was irregular, as the expenditure was incurred in contravention of Treasury regulations. The investigators therefore concluded that the appointment of Digital Vibes was irregular, and as a result, a total of 150 million that was paid to Digital Vibes by Department of Health during the period of 29 January 2020 to February 2021 was therefore irregular expenditure and should therefore be recorded in accordance with the stipulations of PFMA.
All right, let's get reaction. We can speak to Brand Reputation Management Advisor, Solly Moeng. So, Solly, the Minister insisting he didn't personally benefit from this 150 million rand Digital Vibes contract given to, and I'll stress this, his longtime associate. but he admits it's irregular. Is he fooling anyone here?
He's fooling. He's trying to fool us. So, it's so painful to listen to the minister going on the way he has been going on. He keeps referring to investigators. Who are these investigators? Who drew the terms of reference for them? Is it him? Is it somebody in his department? And are they part of the criminal justice system? Why is he running a parallel investigative process to the official legally mandated processes run by the SIU, for instance? I mean, then why is he getting himself involved in all of these things when his name keeps popping up? We've seen lots of photographs of him and these people that he refers to as just comrades in very intimate environments, private dinners and hugging, posing next to each other. There's obviously a lot more to do than the minister is telling us, and this is really disappointing.
Yeah, sorry, I'm struggling to hear you. Sorry about that. Just try to take your headphones out for me. Let's try and get the next question without those headphones. And of course, I'm talking about the reputation of the health minister here. How do we trust this person now going forward, even though he says he's done nothing wrong, and he's the guy in charge of fighting this coronavirus pandemic for us?
Is it better this way? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. That's better. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is it better this way? So sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry. It's better this way. Let's do it this way. The question is about Zweli Mkhize and his reputation and what impact that has, of course, because he's the main person in this fight against COVID-19 in South Africa for us.
Yeah, look, I think the minister is trying to take us for fools, all of us South Africans. And this is very unfortunate, given the position that, the central position that he's been playing in this national fight against COVID-19. Look, nobody gets paid that kind of money for communications. I run a communications agency. Those are huge amounts of money. And for him to say, we're talking about investigators, he keeps mentioning investigators. Who are these investigators? Are they part of the legal criminal justice system? Because we know that the SIU is also running an investigation. Are they private investigators? Who developed the terms of reference for these investigators? And why is he putting himself at the center of investigation, given that his name keeps coming up? We've seen lots of pictures of him and these people in intimate situations, at dinners, posing for pictures. He can't just come here and say, no, they're just comrades that I know randomly. And for him to say, I haven't benefited personally from it, we don't know that yet. I think it's too early for anybody to say, well, he's never benefited. Because a lot of times these politicians are smart. They don't take my money directly into their account. It goes to places where they direct it to go. So I think that he should step aside and let the formal criminal justice system to investigate these things.
Yeah, and what about the overall reputation then to the ANC? This is a party that is trying very hard to rid itself of corruption. It's taking tough action against those who face corruption charges. Obviously, the minister is nowhere close to that because he hasn't appeared in court, hasn't been formally charged at all. But this tainted image of the ANC with more and more members being brought into question, what happens there?
Yeah, it doesn't help. It doesn't. Look, a lot of South Africans have given up on the ANC ever becoming any clean party. That's the sad part about it. But the thing is, what is really specific to this minister is that he's at the core of South Africa's pushback against COVID-19. People, and up to now, generally speaking, he's presented himself as somebody who's credible, who works with the scientists. He's a scientist himself as a medical doctor. But now that it comes out that everything that we've been complaining about in the past year, PPE funds disappearing, those big stimulus packages going to places where they shouldn't be going, and now he is involved. It's almost like a true Brutus moment for South Africans. But it's not surprising. He's part of the ANC. We have elections coming up. We don't know if funds are being taken to Cuba or to all sorts of closely linked businesses to build a treasure fund for elections. We don't know that. The truth is that it's not making the positioning of the ANC any better in the eyes of broader South Africans.
All right, we have to leave it right there. Apologies, there's really bad audio here. Moeng, Brand Reputation Management Advisor.